The Galactic Council's chamber, an awe-inspiring marvel of translucent crystal columns and floating orbs of light, pulsed with unease. Delegates from across the galaxy had gathered, their forms as varied as the stars. Feathered avians, iridescent scaled serpents, and gelatinous beings shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. At the center of this alien congregation stood a solitary figure, Ambassador Elise Varn of Earth. Her silver hair, tied tightly at the nape of her neck, glinted under the ethereal glow. Despite her immaculate white diplomatic uniform, faint stains of crimson marred the fabric, a grim reminder of the attack on New Haven. Elise's piercing green eyes swept the room, her jaw clenched. The air was thick with tension as she addressed the assembly. "Let the record show," she began, her voice cutting through the cacophony of alien whispers, "that the Tzelkrin Confederacy has committed an atrocity against humanity. Over 50,000 civilians were slaughtered, mothers, fathers, children reduced to ash under their weapons." Across the chamber, the Tzelkrin delegate, Prime Zeltoth, sat motionless, his obsidian exoskeleton glinting faintly. His mandibles clicked softly, a sound both dismissive and mocking. "Your colony encroached upon sacred ground," Zeltoth hissed, his voice a low, grating tone. "The punishment was just." Elise's fists tightened, her nails biting into her palms. New Haven was a peaceful settlement, well within the boundaries approved by this council. The massacre was unprovoked, barbaric, and in violation of every galactic accord. The council's chair, an amorphous being of shifting light, raised a glowing tendril, silencing the murmurs. "Ambassador Varn," it intoned, its voice resonating like a deep bell. "Humanity is still young on the galactic stage. The council shall deliberate." Elise straightened, her gaze hardening. "Deliberate all you want. Humanity will not wait for your approval to defend itself." She turned sharply, her boots echoing across the crystalline floor as she exited the chamber. Behind her, Zeltoth let out a chittering laugh. "Let them try." In the corridors outside, Admiral Leon Mercer awaited her. Tall and broad-shouldered, his gray military uniform bore the insignia of Earth's fleet. His sharp blue eyes met hers. "I take it they weren't convinced?" "They'll never act," Elise said, her voice laced with contempt. "The Tzelkrin think they've broken us. It's time to prove them wrong." The Sol system hummed with activity as humanity prepared for war. Earth, a blue and green beacon in the void, was surrounded by a web of orbital defense platforms. Officially, humanity's military capabilities were modest, adhering strictly to the Council's imposed restrictions. Unofficially, Earth had been building in secret, driven by the quiet understanding that peace was fragile and that predators lurked among the stars. Admiral Leon Mercer stood on the bridge of the Wrath of Terra, Earth's flagship, his steely gaze fixed on the tactical displays lighting up around him. Red markers, enemy vessels cluttered the edges of human space, a swarm of Tzelkrin warships preparing to strike. "Admiral," a young officer called out, her voice tight. "Our stealth reconnaissance confirms over 3,000 Tzelkrin vessels advancing on the outer colonies. Estimated arrival in 72 hours. Leon's jaw tightened. "They're bringing their full force." In the shadows of a distant asteroid belt, hidden shipyards came alive. Gigantic warships, sleek and angular, slid silently from their berths. Painted in the darkest shades of black, they absorbed light, becoming invisible to standard detection methods. Each was armed with humanity's deadliest advancements: quantum destabilizers, electromagnetic pulse cannons, and planet-cracking railguns. In a command center deep beneath the surface of Earth, scientists unveiled experimental AI drones. Their sleek designs, capable of autonomous combat, glinted as they activated in unison, their precision movements a testament to humanity's ingenuity. "All units, initiate Titan Protocol," Leon commanded, his voice resonating through every monitor. Across human-controlled space, civilian factories transitioned seamlessly into wartime production. Cities buzzed with activity as workers and robotic assistants produced weapons, armor, and ammunition in record time. Even children old enough to understand the stakes contributed in small ways, assembling parts for drones or delivering supplies to soldiers. On board the Wrath of Terra, Admiral Mercer prepared to address the fleet. His face, weathered but resolute, appeared on every screen. The hundreds of thousands under his command stopped and listened. "The Tzelkrin think they know us. They think we're weak, alone, and easy prey. But they don't understand humanity. When you take our children, our families, you awaken something unstoppable. We have been preparing for this moment, hidden, underestimated, and now ready. This is not revenge. This is justice. We will show the galaxy that humanity does not bow to fear. For New Haven, for Earth, for every life they've stolen. The roar of approval that followed reverberated through the fleet, a symphony of defiance. Across the Sol system, humanity's secret war machine mobilized. In an uncharted nebula on the edge of Tzelkrin territory, the first wave of human stealth ships waited silently, their black hulls blending into the void. They were the predators now, lying in wait for the moment to strike. The Tzelkrin fleet surged forward, a dark, menacing wave against the backdrop of stars. Their war drums, a low-frequency pulse that reverberated through space, heralded their confidence. Thousands of vessels, each shaped like jagged, blackened claws, advanced with predatory precision. The Tzelkrin had crushed countless civilizations before. To them, humanity would be no different. As the fleet crossed into human space, the first strike came. From the shadows of a distant nebula, a squadron of human stealth ships emerged, their sleek forms invisible to all but the most advanced sensors. Their attack was swift and devastating. Lances of plasma fire and railgun rounds streaked across the void, tearing through the lead Tzelkrin vessels. Explosions blossomed in silence, the red glow of ruptured reactors lighting up the darkness. Panic rippled through the Tzelkrin ranks. Their formation faltered as more human ships appeared, cutting through the void like sharks through water. Aboard the Tzelkrin flagship, Prime Seltath hissed in frustration, his mandibles clicking furiously. "How are they here?" one of his officers chittered, their movements frantic. "They have concealed their strength," Seltath growled. "But no matter, we will crush them." Yet, humanity was relentless. The Wrath of Terra, a behemoth of sleek obsidian design, led the main assault. Its massive railgun fired rounds the size of small buildings, each shot obliterating entire clusters of enemy ships. Swarms of AI drones descended on the Tzelkrin fleet, their movements coordinated with inhuman precision. The Tzelkrin attempted to regroup, their ships forming a defensive perimeter around their flagship. But humanity had anticipated this. From the far side of the battlefield, quantum destabilizers fired, ripping apart space itself and collapsing the defensive line. The Tzelkrin fought back with their bioorganic weapons, ships that spat corrosive acid and launched living projectiles. But humanity's shields held firm, their adaptive technology neutralizing the attacks. Each countermeasure was met with a devastating human response. On board the Wrath of Terra, Admiral Mercer issued the next command. Target their supply ships, cut them off completely. The human fleet executed the order with ruthless efficiency. Tzelkrin supply vessels exploded in fiery bursts, their wreckage scattered across the stars. Isolated and outmaneuvered, the Tzelkrin fleet began to crumble. "They fight like cornered beasts," a Tzelkrin officer exclaimed. "No," Seltath hissed, his mandibles grinding. "They fight like predators." As the battle reached its peak, Elise Varn's voice echoed across the human fleet's communication channels. "Push forward. Do not falter. Let the Tzelkrin remember this day as the moment they realized humanity's strength." Her words galvanized the fleet. Humanity, underestimated and disregarded for so long, was now the storm sweeping through the galaxy. In the heart of Tzelkrin space, humanity's fleet advanced like a tidal wave, unstoppable and precise. Planets that had once been bastions of Tzelkrin power now lay vulnerable under the relentless human onslaught. From orbit, human warships unleashed calculated strikes, sparing the innocent but dismantling the infrastructure that had fueled the Tzelkrin's tyranny for centuries. Aboard the Wrath of Terra, Admiral Leon Mercer stood before the command console, his blue eyes fixed on the holographic map of the battlefield. Red markers, symbols of the enemy's fleet, flickered out one by one, crushed by the coordinated might of Earth's forces. "Elise," Leon said, addressing the ambassador beside him. "It's time." Elise Varn nodded. Her diplomatic tone was gone, replaced by steely resolve. "Let the galaxy hear us." Moments later, every Tzelkrin communication channel was overtaken by a single broadcast. The image of Elise appeared, her white uniform now stained with the blood of her people, her eyes burning with righteous fury. Behind her, Footage played of humanity's fleets tearing through the Tzelkrin armada. "This is Elise Varn, speaking on behalf of humanity," she began. "You have underestimated us for centuries, viewing us as weak and insignificant. But when you slaughtered the innocent, you awakened a wrath you cannot comprehend. Let this serve as a lesson to all who would do us harm. Humanity will not be broken. When you push us too far, we push back harder." The broadcast ended, but its message reverberated across the galaxy. The Tzelkrin, now desperate, sent a plea to the Galactic Council for intervention. But the Council hesitated, paralyzed by their fear of humanity's growing power. On the surface of the Tzelkrin homeworld, their remaining forces prepared for a final stand. Prime Zeltoth addressed his warriors, his mandibles clicking in defiance. "They will not take our sacred ground," he hissed. But humanity had no intention of conquering. Instead, precision strikes dismantled the Tzelkrin's war machine, leaving their infrastructure in ruins. Cities were spared, civilians unharmed, but the message was clear. Never again would they threaten humanity. As the final Tzelkrin stronghold surrendered, Elise and Leon stood on the bridge of the Wrath of Terra, gazing at the holographic map now cleared of enemy markers. "Is it over?" Leon asked, his voice heavy with the weight of the campaign. Elise's gaze hardened. "It's only just begun. The galaxy knows now what we're capable of. They'll think twice before testing us again." As the fleet returned to Earth, the galaxy remained silent. Humanity had earned its place not through diplomacy but through sheer unyielding strength. Elise's words echoed across the stars, a warning and a promise. Never again will humanity be underestimated.